Welcome to the Prosperity Podcast for entrepreneurs who are ready to drop the hustle and earn more. I'm your host, Danielle Amos, business and success coach, certified Proctor Gallagher Institute consultant, and lifestyle entrepreneur. Each week, I'll bring you amazing entrepreneurs who have built wealth, harnessing the power of their mind. Prosperity and money are truly about energy, and I'm on a mission to help you create financial abundance through the power of thought. It's time we started normalizing conversations about money and create the wealth that is yours. Are you ready? Let's do this. Welcome to episode 141 of the Prosperity Practice, the podcast that has you living your most abundant life. This is Danielle Amos, and I am your host. Today, I want to talk about the power of perception. Perception is a mental muscle, and it's your point of view. What most people don't understand is that your perception is actually controlled by your paradigm or your programming. The programming that you received from your parents, society, teachers, caregivers, media. This programming literally controls how you see the world. And what is so interesting about this is most of us, many of us, 97%, let's say, of the population goes through life reacting to situation. They're literally something happens and they react, something happens, they react. And it's this constant reaction to circumstances. And this way of living means that we're like a plaything for the universe. And our emotions are based on that experience of whatever life throws at you. Can you relate? Does this sound familiar? Well, my entire world changed when I learned the power of my perception. And this is no joke. I had no idea that I could actually pause and respond to life in a way in which served me. Like I could choose my response rather than having the response that was just there, the reaction. And that reaction was based on programming. It wasn't even mine. Like the way that I viewed the situation was most likely because of the way my parents viewed the situation. It had no origination in my own unique perception outside of my paradigm. And when I realized that I could literally pause, take a moment, I don't need to react. And here's the thing, we're conditioned to react. And it's so in the beginning with this, I was just a reacting machine. And the stories that I was telling myself about what was happening in my life was just based on the programming. And the moment that I understood that I could actually stop, pause, and decide on a response from a different point of view, it was like I got my power back. I learned how to control myself and therefore literally control my circumstances rather than them having control over me. Because how you respond to the very situation that's right in front of you determines what comes next. So if you react the way that you always react, and usually we've been programmed, most of us, in lack and limitation. So the reaction is usually from that point of view, from a scarcity mindset, then we literally attract more things to be in lack or fear or doubt or scarcity about. Does that make sense? So there's a few tools that I'd like to share with you today. And this is a podcast that you're going to want to bookmark. You're going to want to share. You're going to want to most likely take notes. This lesson literally changed my life and changed what came next for me. And I've tested this with the most minute situations, being in a traffic jam or getting a red light, and then therefore being late for an appointment, to big deals in my life, arguments with my husband or breakdowns in my business. These tools have helped me so much. So I'm giving you a few tools to put in your tool belt today. And if this resonates, I invite you to book a call with our team or to consider our Thinking into Results program, because we go even deeper into your mental muscles in this program. And why I'm telling you that is because when you learn how to control your mental muscles, you literally can have anything that you want. Anything that you want. And when you learn to use your mental faculties, your creative faculties, we were created in God's image. God is the creator. And so what's God's role? To create. So we are here to create. And how you do that is through the mental faculties. And that's what the Thinking into Results program is all about. There's a self-study, which is 4 months. There's a 6 months coaching mentorship, which is a group coaching. And then there's a year package that includes all my programs along with it. And why I'm sharing it here today is because I don't think most people understand that that program is actually guaranteed. We can guarantee your success in that program. And if you do not double your income while you're in the container with us, we'll pay you double. We can actually stamp it as guaranteed. So it's a risk-free program because of the way it's been designed. And it's not mine. It comes from the Proctor Institute. It's over 60 years of research of how the mind works. So one major part of it is these mental faculties, and it's not something that we're taught in school. So let me go back to perception. So if in the moment you have a situation that comes to you and it's not what you prefer, our immediate reaction, like we immediately react, right? Like this is bad. And we see it as good and bad based on how like our five senses are giving us information about the situation. But what if you could stop and pause and instead take a different perception? And so perception is literally your point of view, and you can view the situations from many different points of view or perspectives, and even from another person's perspective. And it's a valuable tool to work out your mind this way. So one of the things that I do is I write out in detail the situation as how it is right now, my current perception, and all the details, all the junk, all the negativity. I get it all out on paper. And then I take a new piece of paper and I write out what I would prefer it to be, not based on the past, not based on what I know about the other parties involved, just like in a universe where anything's possible and I have a magic wand, what would I prefer this situation? So I'm not changing the past. I'm actually saying, okay, from here, this is what happens next. Okay. So I write out how I prefer it to be. Then, and these are on two separate pieces of paper. And then I release and I let go of how it is. And by burning that piece of paper or ripping it up, and this is just symbolic, I'm letting my current perception go, which is really important. You've got to be open-minded. And then I put the situation, a piece of paper just representing the situation in the middle of a table. And I acknowledge that this is how I was seeing it before. And then I move around the table to literally physically create a different point of view. And there's something about moving your body physical to another point of view that opens something up in the mind. And I ask myself, okay, so what's the solution to this situation? How can I get the result that I actually prefer to have? And I'll move around the table, seeing the situation from different points of view until a solution comes to me. So the answer to my problem is not on the frequency of the problem. It's on the frequency of the solution. So by moving around, you get a different point of view, which changes your vibration or your perception, your feeling, this feeling's frequency about the event. And I'll ask myself even the question, like, what would Bob say about this? And I'll put my mind into other people who I respect, my mentors, my coaches, perhaps like even authors that I read from. What would they say about this? And I continue to move around to get different perceptions. So this really helps me. It's a huge tool. And then it gives me ideas on how to move forward. And I actually take those ideas and I implement them. The second tool that really helped me to change my point of view is to understand the difference between being in a situation versus having a God's eye perspective of a situation. So when we are in a situation, it's very much like a bug would be in a rug. And this is a proverb, actually. And I heard this first from Bob Proctor, my mentor. So think about a little bug, like a mini caterpillar who is on a rug, and it's walking, and the rug has large piles, and it's moving through the rug to get to a little crumb in the middle of the floor. And it's going up the big pile and down the big pile and up the big pile and down the big pile. And it's like taking forever to get to that crumb. And every time it goes up one of the piles of the rug and comes down, it like sees another one. It's like mountain after mountain after mountain. And that little bug, that little caterpillar, like has such a long way to go, and it doesn't even know when the crumb's going to be there. Like it can't see past what's right in front of it. And this is how most of us as humans live our life in the 3D reality. We live our life according to our senses, our 5 senses that are connected to this physical world. And that is so limiting. And it's the way that we were programmed. And there's an evolution happening with us as human beings. And the evolution is moving out of the 3D perception, the perspective of the 3D world, and moving to a different perception. So let me tell you about a different perception. Now, what if you had a God's eye view of the bug in the rug? So the bug doesn't have the ability to become a butterfly and fly above, but you do as a human. You have a perception muscle. So when you are stuck in your circumstances, you can actually use your mental muscle, your perception, give you a different point of view. And that different point of view that I'd like to invite you to have would be the God's eye point of view, the one that is above everything, that is in alignment with your inner being, that comes from a view of unconditional love. There's no such thing as something being right or wrong, good or bad. It just is. It just is. And you can have the perception of a God's eye view, and you can see where the crumb is. And it's actually not too far for the caterpillar. And if the caterpillar keeps going, they'll be there. And there's a big, reward at the end of the journey. And if the bug could just enjoy that journey along the way, they'd probably get there a lot faster. And so this God's eye view releases judgment. It has you view the situation from it just being what it is, and that it's not good or bad. It just is. And this is the truth. This is the truth of life. There's no such thing as good and bad. I know that we've been programmed to see it. And having this God's eye view, you can have a totally, completely different perception. It also allows you to put yourself in the perception of other people, other parties that might be involved in the situation, and see it from a neutral space. Reverend Michael Beckwith gave us a tool, and this comes through Bob, and Bob Proctor used to share it with us always. And he said, when you're in a situation, there's 3 steps. The first step is to say it is what it is. Either the situation will control me or I'll control it. Okay, so you can't change it. So it is what it is. Step 2 is to harvest the good, to actually in the moment see the good or harvest the lesson from the situation. And it takes something, especially when you're right in it, and you can change your perception in order to find the lesson. And the faster you find the lesson, the better, obviously, right? Because you can let go of what doesn't serve you. And the third step is just that, is to forget and forgive the rest. Let go of it completely. Forgive, and move on with the lesson. Now, I've added a 4th step, which is gratitude. Have gratitude actually for that lesson, because the whole purpose of a goal is to grow. And if you are going after what you want and to live the life that you actually love, you're going to grow along the way and have lots of these situations. So having gratitude, because it's what actually creates the growth within you. Listen, this perception muscle, working it out, it may be weak. You may be right now reacting to life. Change that. Reach out to me, ask me questions. This podcast may be one of the most important I've ever recorded. Please share it. Please, right now, leave us a 5-star review. Tag me. It would mean the world to me. I know that this message is very important. Imagine if the majority of the population started responding to each other from taking a different perception, a God's eye view. The world would look very different, wouldn't it? I see a world where it works. I see a world where people are no longer settling. I see a world where we know from a young age that we can be, do, and have anything that we desire. I see a world where the human beings are taught how to strengthen their mental muscles, their creative faculties in order to create a life that they love. I see a world where people are paid incredibly for their gifts and their gifts are valued. I see a world where more people are millionaires. And the more money we have, the more we can impact the world. I see a world where there is no limitation, that it doesn't matter where you've come from. You understand that you've got your mind. Help me create that world. Thank you. And expect abundance.